Hi everyone, I'm Amel, CEO and founder of Morocco Private Travel, company that I started 10 years ago with more than 20 years experience in the business. During all these years, I was able to build a very strong relationship with the suppliers all over Morocco. The company is based in Marrakesh, but we cover all the country. From the day I started the company, my aim was always to give to my clients a unique experience and a magical touch to every single itinerary. With my team, we pay very attention to details. We listen to our clients. We know what they are looking for and we try to achieve it. We make their dreams become true. We believe that every single itinerary and every single request is a piece of art and we need to tailor-made it perfectly. We believe that we are the best in luxury travel and in Jewish heritage. Since we cannot see you and we cannot meet you soon, I would love to offer you a small virtual tour with one of our top guides, Mr. Shakib.
Welcome to Morocco. My name is Shakib. I've been leading tours since 1996. That means 24 years of touring the country. Morocco, the country of contrasts, the country of tolerance, and the country of hospitality. Morocco, we are blessed in this country to have many influences. Late King Hassan II said in one of his speeches that when he was asked about Morocco, he said, Morocco is like a tree with its roots in Africa and its branches aspiring to get to Europe. I would like to say Morocco is much deeper than that, more than that. We had the influence of the Phoenicians. We had the influence of the Carthaginians. We had the influence of the Romans, the Portuguese, the French, the Spanish, and the Arabs. This is a country where the Berbers have lived for over 9,000 years, and the Arabs conquered Morocco in 683 AD. Morocco is also the country of the Moroccan Jews. The Moroccan Jews, when we talk about the heritage, it goes back to the Phoenician time. The Jews came here first with the Phoenicians as traders, but it was after the destruction of the Second Temple, 70 AD, that we can talk about the Toshabim. The Toshabim came here, got through society, Moroccans, a long, long time before Islam came to this land. Then we talk about 1492, when the Jews and the Muslims in Spain, when Ferdinand and Isabella came to power, had no alternative but to flee for their lives or convert. And lots of them came to Morocco. This is what we call the Megorashim from 1492. All this makes the identity of Morocco. We are blessed in this country as well when we talk about the geography of the country, that we have two seashores. The Mediterranean Sea, 318 miles, only 9 miles from southern Spain, from Gibraltar. Gibraltar that we helped to conquer in 711 AD, and the Atlantic Ocean, long of 1,823 miles. We talk about 4 mountains: the Rif, the Atlas, 3 mountains, middle, high, and Anti-Atlas mountains. In two of these mountains we have two ski stations, and Morocco is one of the 10 countries to share into the big Sahara, which extends from of course, the Atlantic Ocean to the Red Sea, shared amongst 10 countries. So Morocco is the country of contrasts. What can you aspire for? Mountains, ski stations, the Sahara, Mediterranean, Atlantic Ocean. All that is Morocco and all that reflects in Moroccan society. The inhabitants of Morocco are very, very hospitable. This shows when you are walking in the streets of Morocco, when you are in a cafe, when you are in the south. A wonderful picture when you are driving in whichever vehicle you are, and then you have children waving to you just for being nice, for being hospitable. Unfortunately, there is this pandemic which makes it not possible to go and visit Morocco. But we are going to try to arouse your appetite so that you come and honor us with your visit. We start from the north. There is no better city to start with when you talk about Jewish heritage than the city of Tangier. It's very interesting. When you go to Tangier, you find tombs of the Phoenicians. So traders came from Israel with Phoenicians to Tangier. And what is very interesting about Tangier is that, officially speaking, there is no Jewish quarter, what we call in Morocco Mellah, M-E-L-L-A-H. Mellah means a Jewish quarter. But we find in Tangier absolutely beautiful Jewish heritage. The Kasbah, and the Kasbah is a fortress. You have to know your way through there to get to the Synagogue Street. The Synagogue Street used to be the Decaminus Maximus when the Romans were here. And making your way through very narrow streets, you end up at Synagogue Nahon. Going inside the synagogue, after asking permission from Mr. Mohammed, you go inside and then you are transformed to a beautiful building with stucco and beautiful chandeliers. The chandeliers and the stucco are not the only attraction. You go upstairs, you find kutuba, which Moroccan Jews gave as a present to the synagogue. There is also a list of the Moroccan Jews buried in the Jewish cemetery of Tangier. From Tangier, crossing the Rif Mountains, beautiful cities, Chefchaouen, Tétouan, and then you get to the beautiful city of Fes. Fes, we say Fes among Moroccans. The French made us say Fez with Z. Fes is the best example of tolerance. Here is a king in the 9th century, the first Muslim dynasty. His father who brought Islam to Morocco. We have the son who invited Moroccan Jews to settle in Fez, to make of Fez the capital of Morocco. Fez is divided into 3 sections. There is the 9th century section, a real labyrinth, over 950 narrow streets, where there is the oldest university in the world, the university which welcomed lots of scholars, just like the yeshiva, the Fez yeshiva, that attracted lots of scholars, poets, grammarians to come and settle in Fez. So there is the Fez Bali, B-A-L-I, 9th century. There is the Fez Jadid, which is the section that dates back to the end of the 13th century, beginning of the 14th century. And that's where we find the first Jewish quarter, the Mellah of Fez. What's very interesting also to note is that the Jewish quarter, the Mellah, is not at the bottom of the city. No, it's next door to the royal palace. When you get to near the royal palace, amazing 7 doors to the beautiful royal palace. Unfortunately, we cannot go inside the palace, but that's not bad. We can admire the 7 bronze doors. Then we walk through the Mellah of Fez. We stop at the 17th century Synagogue Aben Danan. You go inside, you find the Bima, the holiest place, the Ark, with the 12th century Torah, the scroll of the Torah inside the Ark. The gentleman, the Shemas, he opens the doors for you, and then you admire this scroll of the Torah on gazelle skins. You know, in Morocco, or the Moroccan Jews are Orthodox, so there is a separation between men and women. Try to walk up the stairs to get to that section where Moroccan women would listen to the rabbi. And it would be wonderful if they have the minyan, but unfortunately there is another synagogue in the Ville Nouvelle where they can have the Shabbat and the minyan. Try also to go beyond the place or the section where women would sit to admire a panoramic view, a beautiful view of the cemetery of Fez. Beautiful tombs, painted white, and something which is unique to Moroccans is what is commonly known as the saints, but indeed the rabbis. There is, of course, the most visited is the tomb of Lala Sulika. Lala Sulika, the Jewish lady who refused to convert to Islam and was killed. Lots of people, part of the Kabbalah, part of the Hillouloth, would come to visit her tomb and lit up a candle. Walking through the Mellah, then you see the Al-Fasiyin synagogue, also 17th century. And walking through the streets, you see beautiful balconies, something which differs from Muslim sections, the idea of the balconies. Cedar wood with wrought iron are the balconies upstairs and the shops downstairs. If you have time, you can always go to the Ville Nouvelle and go to the restaurant, the club where Moroccan Jews would gather. From Fez, you can head down to the city of Casablanca. Casablanca is the city where there are 3,000 out of 5,000 Moroccan Jews who still live in the country. This is in a country where years ago we used to have over 360,000 Moroccan Jews. We are now down to 5,000 in the whole of the country, 3,000 in Casablanca. That's the city where you find most synagogues, clubs, restaurants, kosher butchers, and Beth El Synagogue. You go inside Beth El Synagogue, then you are transformed thanks to the beauty of the stained glass. Casablanca, though it has the third largest mosque in the world, we find in Casablanca the first museum of Moroccan Jewish heritage. The first museum, thanks to the kings of Morocco. And when you go inside this museum, which is not only a museum to look at pictures and all that, because the museum goes beyond that. And the museum, thanks to the work of the museum now, we are talking about including Jewish heritage in our syllabus. So it is not only to show visitors about the Jewish heritage, but also to make Moroccan Muslims know about their identity. It's wonderful when you are walking inside and you see at the entrance a paragraph from the Moroccan Constitution, which was changed in 2011. When in 2011 other countries were fighting against Muslims radicals, Morocco added a paragraph in its constitution insisting on the Hebraic factor in Moroccan culture. From Casablanca, you go down along the Atlantic Ocean and go to visit a city of only like 80,000 inhabitants, which is the city of Essaouira. Essaouira existed a long time ago in connection to the Romans, purple dye and all of that, the Portuguese, but it was thanks to King Mohammed III, another king who made of this city a very important city in Morocco by changing the port in Agadir, the city of Agadir, to the city of Essaouira. And he invited lots of Moroccan Jews to settle in Essaouira. This is another example of kings of Morocco who have always embraced Judaism as part of Moroccan identity, to invite Moroccan Jews to settle in Essaouira. Most of the Moroccan Jews were in commerce or as jewelers. This is why when you go to Essaouira, there is what we call the Duke of Essaouira, which is silver jewelry. So as you are walking through the Medina, the old walled part of the city of Essaouira, you go inside, you have a different feel from other cities we have visited, unfortunately again, virtually. You stop at the beautiful synagogue of Haim Pinto. This is a synagogue that goes back to 2 centuries. You go inside, there is his house, you find his desk, you find the chair for the Bismillah, and you find a table that shows us that we are in a different city than what we have seen. And this is interesting, that every corner of Morocco is different. You never get bored So Haim Pinto, you have pictures of Haim Pinto, you have pictures of his son, David Pinto, and you have an idea about where he lived. And then you go upstairs, and that's where you find, before you go inside, there are the kippah for people who want to use them. And you go inside, and you have absolutely stunning ark with thuya wood. It's a wood which we find in the region of Essaouira only. And there is a lady, Muslim lady, who can open the ark for you. Then you just go outside, Kenny said, then you find the section for women. What a wonderful place, at ease, and hearing the voice of the rabbi or seeing through the window of it. What a wonderful experience. What a wonderful experience to see in a city which was chosen just lately. And this is in line with his predecessors. I talked about the king who made of Essaouira an interesting city, King Mohammed III. And by the way, King Mohammed III was, at the time, he was the king when Morocco was the first nation to acknowledge the independence of the United States of America. It's in, I was saying, in Essaouira that this king, King Mohammed VI, decided to have a kind of museum, but it's called the House of Wisdom, in remembrance to the fact that Judaism is a very important part in Moroccan culture. He was there, and I remember seeing a wonderful picture of the rabbis blessing the king in Hebrew, and he had his hands stretched out in a Muslim way to receive the blessing of the rabbis. Essaouira is the city where at one stage more than half of the population were Jewish. 3 hours drive from this beautiful city on the Atlantic Ocean, you go inland to Marrakesh. Marrakesh is the city I chose to live in. And because of this pandemic and the lockdown, we are going to focus on Marrakesh, to show Marrakesh, a city that dates back to 1060s, a city where we have also a Jewish quarter, a Mellah, that dates back to 1567. Not the first place where Moroccan Jews lived, because Moroccan Jews used to live in other parts of the Medina, but as a quarter, we are talking about 1567. There are 2 synagogues. There is the Azama synagogue in the Medina. It's a wonderful experience just to try to find your way through the streets of the Medina, not very far from the royal palace. Again, all the Jewish quarters were next door to the royal palaces, and not very far from where there were lots of administrations. Between the two, you find the Mellah of Marrakesh. It's a Mellah where there used to be the Alliance School that dates back to 1901. Not the first, because the first, we are talking 1862 in the city of Tétouan in the north of Morocco. But we are talking about Alliance that dates back to 1901. You go inside the Azama synagogue, then you feel you are surely in Morocco. It's a riad style. I mean by a riad, it's a house with a fountain in the center, surrounded by trees, open in the center to the sky. This is a Riyadh. You say Riyadh, it means, if you look up the word Riyadh in a dictionary of Arabic words, it means paradise, heaven. So when you go inside, you find the section for prayer, you find the section for women, you find also the classrooms. People used to send their children to learn the Torah in these classrooms. And the contrast of the white and the blue is absolutely beautiful. There's also a kitchen there. You leave the synagogue and you go to the what is called the Me'ara, which is the Jewish cemetery. The Jewish cemetery, we are talking about 1500s as well. And you go inside. I think it's one of the best cemeteries in Morocco, where you have, just as you go inside, not inside very much, of course, you find the tombs of the Kohanim, and then you find tombs of children, you find tombs of women, you find tombs of men separated, and you find tombs of the rabbis, the Lion of Marrakesh, HaKohen. You can leave the Medina altogether and move to another section which dates back to the time when Morocco was under the French protectorate, 1912. And you find a synagogue that dates back to 1956. It was bought by a family. By the way, the son is still there whenever he's in Morocco to open the door for you, and you go inside the synagogue Bethel. 1912, the French made of Morocco a protectorate. 1956, this family decided to build this synagogue, thanks to King Mohammed V, grandfather of the current king. The king who was chosen by the French to be the king of Morocco when he was only 18 years old. He wanted to have a puppet king. But in 1940s, he said no to the Vichy government when they asked him, not they asked, but they requested him, they wanted him to give them the list of the Moroccan Jews. He said a famous sentence: in Morocco, there are no Jews, no Christians, no Muslims, there are Moroccans. This is briefly an idea about Judaism in Morocco. What I want to say is that, first, that Judaism is part of our identity. As I said, it goes back to more than 2,000 years of existence. Second, I'm not saying that it was all the time roses and wine for the Moroccan Jews. But as an example, we have this king by the Vichy government saying no. King Hassan II played a very important role in the talk in the Middle East. And this king, thanks to him, we are having over 110 synagogues restored, cemeteries restored, streets, like for example in Marrakesh, you are walking through the streets that were changed at one time to Muslim names, and the king came and said, I want you to change them back to the old names when the Moroccan Jews used to live in Morocco. Unfortunately, there are only like 160 Moroccan Jews who still live in Marrakesh. But we hope that you are going to honor us by visiting the country. Of course, this was a tour virtually, but if you honor us and you come to Morocco, you are going to see yourself that Morocco is the country of tolerance, the country of contrast, the country of hospitalities, the country where it doesn't matter what your religion is. What's very important is respect. You respect me and I respect you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this virtual tour with us, and this is the team that you can get in touch with.
Thank you so much, Shakib. Let me introduce you my team, Jamila and Sofia. We can't wait to see you soon.
And we can wait to receive your calls and emails.
We are looking forward to assist you and welcome you in Morocco.
Thank you so much and see you very soon.
See you very soon.